So I'm Marcella Silva, here to talk all about the best investment on earth, the original investment on earth, the only investment that wars are fought over, and that is dirt. So I think we're all here for some level of abundance. Yes, yes. Okay. Abundance isn't just about mindset, it's also about how we're feeling too. So I'm going to invite you all to stand up with me for a minute. Let's do a fun little exercise. Get into our bodies, so just standing, feet hip width apart, and just start bouncing on your heels, bouncing on your heels. This wakes up your bones, your joints, gets your energy moving. Yes, and now start swinging side to side, letting your hands gently tap you on your lower back and lower abdomen, waking up your kidneys. This is your vitality, your energy. This area is called the door of life. That will wake you up. And now lightly tapping up and down, up and down, up and down. If you can do it, do it. If you can't do it, do whatever you can. Take deep breaths. Now one big deep breath in, all the way at the top, feeling all needs met, all needs met, all needs met. All right, one more time. All needs met. Yes. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. Hopefully that brought a little bit of energy and vitality to all the sitting you're doing today. So again, my name is Marcella Silva, here to talk all about dirt. Oops, wrong way. How did I find out about this? So I used to be a software engineer working at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratories, which is in the San Francisco Bay Area in San Francisco, California. And I worked there for a little over 10 years, and I realized very quickly that my 401k was never going to get me where I wanted to be. It was on this roller coaster rides of up and down, and quite honestly, the only way it went up was when I put money into it. So I knew I had to do something different. And I started going out looking for various different investment opportunities. I wanted a real asset, something that I could see, that I could touch, and that I knew would go up in value without me constantly having to put time or effort into it. Finally, I came across something called land banking, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And this is the opportunity that I found that helps me create wealth while I'm living my life. Because to be quite honest, I don't want an investment that I have to take care of. I already have enough things I got to deal with in my life. I want something that's easy, peaceful, and doesn't call me on the phone, like I said. So land banking, by definition, is the practice of buying affordable, pre-developed land located in the path of growth. How many people are from Denver area, have been here, I don't know, 20 years? Okay, you guys have seen this happen before your very eyes. Colorado Springs to Denver, they used to be very separate. Now it's a whole bunch of development. Imagine being able to own that land prior to that development happening. One key piece of land could literally create generational wealth. So here's a great example of a missed land banking opportunity. This is a before picture in Milpitas, California, which is the San Francisco Bay Area, about 20 miles southeast of San Francisco. So when I say a pre-developed area, pre-developed means existing developments, existing infrastructure, but still a lot of land available to be developed. That's when you want to buy it. It's still affordable at this point. In this particular picture, roughly $1,000 to $50,000 per acre, depending on zoning and location. I actually know somebody who bought 10 acres here for $10,000. Now there is a super target sitting on top of that land, created multi-generational wealth, like I was just mentioning. Click the button 7 years later, so obviously it's a high growth area. There's a ton of new development came in, and guess what happened to the value? Simple supply and demand continually pushes the value up, $500,000 to $1 million per acre. And they're not making any more of it, so it's not gonna go back down to $50,000 per acre because there's very limited land left. $500,000 to $1 million, and now you're looking at multi-millions, $2 to $7 million per acre, if you can even find an acre of land in these areas, which I can tell you is virtually impossible unless you're literally tearing down buildings. So that's the idea of what land banking is. How do we do this? So I work for a company that's been doing this for 45 years. I'll get all into the details of that. But one of the things that we look at is, where is infrastructure going? For example, a brand new on and off ramp. Cities and counties are not going to spend millions of dollars for a brand new on and off ramp on a freeway for no reason. They're doing that because they're preparing for the future growth and development of the area. If you know that ahead of time, you buy the dirt, and this is what happens. 100,000 per acre, 2 million per acre. So all a person has to do to get rich in America is find out where people are going, get there first, buy land while it's affordable, and then wait. It's really that simple, according to General Douglas MacArthur and many other very wealthy and famous people. As a matter of fact, the very first multimillionaire in America, Mr. John Jacob Astor, created wealth by doing the very same exact thing that I'm talking about. He figured out where the municipal roads were going, the construction for future development was happening, got ahead of that, ahead of the infrastructure, bought the land in New York City, and created wealth that way. So I'm going to show you one of my personal parcels. I put my money where my mouth is. Like Jim said, I own 3 million square feet of land. This is one of my parcels. I bought this one in November of 2014. What are we looking at here? This is 1.84 acres. Bought it for $92,000. Zoning is light industrial. Industrial, you see massive distribution centers. I saw a bunch of them on the way here from the Denver airport. You can see there's a huge Whirlpool distribution center right there. That's my property. It's that black square. Bought it for $1.15 per square foot. About 6 months later, developer contacts me, says, we want your land. We're offering you $126,000. Oh, okay, yeah, that's great, but not interested. I'm in it for the big money. I'm in it to win it with this one. 2017 rolls around. By the way, I've never seen this property. It's dirt. I don't have to do anything with it. And all of the due diligence has already been done on it, which I will go over as well. March 2017 comes around, developer contacts me out of the blue and says, hey, we're interested in your property. Offer $365,000. Not bad. I didn't do anything for that. Thank you. And no thank you. You never take the first offer from developers. They can always go higher. So part of what our company helps with is the negotiations with developers to make sure that we get the highest and best price. I'm not going to go through all of those details right now, but basically next offer 1 month later, $500,950. Not bad. We're definitely heating up. But no thank you. Next offer a month later, $600,000. Very good offer. My husband was like, okay, yeah, let's sell. I was like, no, we're not going to sell. From $1.15 per square foot to $7.52 per square foot, not bad in a little over 2 years. And again, I did nothing for this. To be continued on this story. The longer you hold it, the more it's worth. Like I said, they're not making any more of it. This is no big secret, but it really is that simple. Why do people invest with me? All different reasons. For me, it was my own personal financial freedom and retirement. A lot of people I have do it for legacy for their kids, some kids' college, whatever it may be. We want to help diversify. That's what it's all about, diversification. So what we're going to talk about for the rest of the time, who is Velour, which is the company that I represent, where and why we invest. I have a couple money-making opportunities if someone's interested, and then how to invest. So here's a picture of my Velour family. Every year, we take our top referral partners around the world somewhere. This was last year in Tahiti. Here's myself and my husband. These are the owners of Velour, Mr. Hlavacek and his wife, and then these are some referral partners and investors. So we are land experts. We've been in the business since 1979. You might just be hearing about this now, but we've been doing it for 45 years. We did not just start this yesterday. And our core competency is doing the research and due diligence of the land itself. This is the most critical, most important part of investing in land. If you buy land wrong in the beginning, it will always be wrong. It's not like a house, you can't fix it up. So you want to make sure you buy it correctly in the beginning. And I have several real estate agents that are my investors. And they buy through us because they don't know the first thing about how doing the due diligence on land. Not to put them down, but land is completely different than the structure that is on top of the land. So So that is our core competency. All of our properties go through our comprehensive due diligence and go into our exclusive inventory. So investors purchase directly from our inventory. They are not listed on the MLS or anything like that. We have over 22,000 investors in our database, have bought and sold over 100,000 acres of land in the most high growth areas of California, and I will go over why California only. And we are highly regulated by the California Department of Real Estate. So I'm going to go over the due diligence process right now. This is what we call our 16, 3, and 10 method. So out of 30 properties we purchase, we purchase about 1. 30 to 1. That's how much bad land is out there. We want to make sure it's the most high quality land possible in the best areas. So first is the 16 points of comprehensive analysis. This is making sure it's quality, developable, marketable, legal piece of land. There's no issues with it. For example, if you buy a piece of land and there's a burrowing owl or a red-legged toad on that little guy has more rights than we do. Sorry, you're out of luck. You don't want toxic waste on your land. I mean, there's a million different things. You don't want some weird easement running through the middle of the land preventing it from being developable. So every one of our properties goes through 16 different layers of maps to make sure that it's quality, developable land. Because the biggest risk in land is not what you see. It might look great. It might look like it's in the path of growth. It's the hidden landmines that can really hurt you. So that's what we're here to do. We uncover those hidden landmines, remove them if that's possible, or we just stay far away from those properties in that case. So we mitigate the risks that are typically associated with land. Am I saying there's no risk with land? No. The risk that we cannot mitigate is best summed up by Benjamin Graham here. He said the investor's chief problem and his worst enemy is likely to be himself. He was actually the professor of Warren Buffett. In the end, how your investments behave is much less important than how you behave. So what do I mean by that in relation to land? Land is a long-term investment. The growth of an area doesn't happen overnight. It's a 7 to 10 year hold average. It can happen much sooner, as you saw with my property, or it can take longer. So we want our investors to use long-term investable funds. However, there is a new trend, which I'm just going to touch on today, but I'll be going much more detail tomorrow, which is consuming land at the fastest rate in history. And it's kind of changing the land game at a whole new level. So long-term investable funds, you want to be a patient investor. Set it and forget it. One day, a developer contacts you out of the blue, and let me tell you, that's a very powerful position to be in. Big money to be made there. So 3 is the 3-mile ring of development. For every property that we provide to investors, there has to be existing and new developments coming in within a 3-mile radius. The reason why we care about the 3-mile radius is because the Urban Land Institute has done studies, and they found when a new development comes into an area, it causes the surrounding values of land within a 3-mile radius to increase in value. Again, back to that, they're not making any more of it. So if you own this property right here, a new developer comes in, they're spending millions of dollars, hassles, headaches, whatever they got to go through other developers' monies. I'm doing absolutely nothing. It's increasing the value of my land within a 3-mile radius by 10% appreciation. These numbers are coming from the Urban Land Institute. Within a 2-mile radius, that's a 20% appreciation, and within a 1-mile radius, that is a 30% appreciation. And from what I have personally seen, those are very conservative numbers. So we want to make sure there's existing and new developments coming out that 3-mile radius, so we're not out in the middle of nowhere. Then we have the 10 key indicators locating a high growth, pre-developed area, like what I was showing you in the beginning. We want flat developable land, obviously not the side of a hill, population projections, water supply, infrastructure, accessibility by freeway, air, and rail, those are called aerotopolis, commercial, residential, and industrial developments. We want cities that are not bedroom communities. We want areas that are bringing in industry. What comes along with industry? Jobs. What comes along with jobs? Population growth and more development. It all kind of works together, very symbiotic. Also, number 10 is important, a pro-business city government that wants to grow and that doesn't make it difficult for developers to develop. You'd be surprised how many cities out there make it very hard for new development to come in. The cities where we are investing in are actively promoting their cities to bring new developments in, not just nationally, but internationally. And then our guarantees to our investors, number one, you get the grant deed, which is the highest possible ownership, recorded with the county recorder's office. So you own that land full and outright, and then policy of title insurance comes along with every single parcel as well. This is critical. I know people who have bought land and were not able to buy title insurance. They did not buy it from us, but you want to be able to have these things in place. That is your financial and ownership guarantee. So our 3 points of service to our investors, number one, providing the quality parcel, which I already went over, all of those details. After an investor purchases with us, it's not like goodbye, good luck, I hope you do well. We continually provide you with updates, letting you know what's happening in the area, new developments that are coming in, new law changes, zoning changes, you name it. We're constantly updating our investors because, again, the land never calls you on the phone to tell you what's going on. And then this is when we make the big money. The arbitrage, kind of what I was showing you earlier. So let's say we know there's a brand new on and off ramp coming on, we buy a parcel of land. I don't have to own all of it. I just need a piece of it. I just need to be blocking the developer from being able to develop. Yes, that is a very powerful position to be in. That's where we want to be. So what happens is the developer goes out, figures out they want all this land, they figure out who owns the land, and then they start contacting you. At that point, we help our investors negotiate to get the highest and best price for their property, and we do those negotiations completely free of charge. We don't charge anything for getting you the most money possible. Some people say, why don't you charge? Well, we want our investors to do well, number one, and number two, we are now privy to legal insider information that nobody else knows about. So developer is going to contact the landowner first. Now we're hearing about a new development that's coming into an area that nobody else knows about. What are we going to do with that information? We're going to help other landowners that might also be there, and we're going to acquire the land around where these future developments are coming, because that's going to be automatically increasing the value of that land. So it's a win-win-win situation for everybody. And that's why it's beneficial and helpful to work with a company that's been doing this for 45 years and has tens of thousands of investors who are going through these things constantly. So that is our service. Now I'm going to go over where we invest and why. We only invest in California. Yes, you could make land in areas in other places. However, we specifically focus in California because it is the 5th largest economy in the world. It is just a state, but they are comparing it to nations. That's how strong California's economy is. Economics is huge when it comes to investing in land correctly. This is an example of what's happened. Who's familiar with California and California growth? Anybody? A little bit? Yes? This is where I live, just over the hill. This is not what it looks like today. This is what it looks like today. This was just 10 years ago. This is just to the north of me. Some of you might be familiar with Walnut Creek, California, when there were actual walnut orchards. What it looks like today. This is LA. What it used to look like and what it looks like today. The reason why I show those before and after pictures is because history is continually repeating itself throughout California. That's why it's very populated there. That's also why California real estate is so expensive, because there's very little land left. Yes, California is a massive state, but how much of that land is actually developable? So this was a study done by UC Berkeley in 1998. 26 years ago. There's 100 million acres total in California. You subtract out all the farmland, all the government land, all the land that cannot be developed, all the land that's protected, all the land that's already been developed. There's only 2% of California's land left to be developed, and that was 26 years ago. I live in California. Every time I drive out, leave my door, I see new construction happening all the time. I guarantee it's a lot less than 2%. This is why California real estate is so expensive, because there's very little dirt left. As a matter of fact, the Lincoln Land Institute has done studies, and they found that on average, over 63% of the value of a home or building in California is the dirt itself. So for me, I'm not into tenants, toilets, and termites, not to put it down, not to say it's wrong. It's just easier. This is a study looking to the future. By the way, this is all third-party information. Feel free to look it up yourself. By the year 2035, we're already in 2024, so 11 years from now, California is going to consume 3,700 square miles of land. 3,700 square miles of land is 2.3 million acres. Where they're going to get 2.3 million acres, I don't know. But this is the opportunity that we have available in California. So we have targeted to very specific areas in California, not just anywhere. Specifically only Southern California, as a matter of fact, within a 60-mile radius of downtown LA. Surprisingly, there's still affordable land in this area. So this is LA County, by the way, the most populated county in America, close to, I'd say, about 10.2 million people. LA, if you've ever been there, what do? You sit in traffic the whole time. I love sitting in traffic in LA because I know it's increasing the value of my land. And this is all Angeles National Forest, all the green, can't develop, last remaining developable area in LA County. On top of that, there are multiple economic trends causing this area to grow. It's not just population growth, multiple economic trends. That's why we invest there, because if a downturn happens, a pandemic happens, one of those trends goes away, development is still happening there. So I'm going to focus primarily on one of those trends today, which is industrial. Trade and logistics, manufacturing. LA County happens to be the #1 manufacturing county in the entire country, by the way. The ports of LA and ports of Long Beach are the busiest ports in the entire United States. You want to be near deep water ports. This is critical. 40% of all inbound cargo coming into the United States goes through those ports. And 40 million customers within a 1-day drive, 70 million within a 2-day drive. Why do we care about this? Massive warehouse and distribution space. So the goods come into the ports, they don't stay at the ports, they have to go to distribution centers, and then they leave from there. These facilities are huge. If you've seen them, yeah, I was mentioning it, on the way driving in from Denver Airport. Saw some huge distribution centers out there. Imagine being able to own that land. You can see the amount of cargo growth expected in that area. We are a consumer nation. There is a lot of goods coming in from the Pacific area, and this is the #1 port location. So just to give you an idea of the growth of distribution centers in Southern California, this is 1975. We're looking for this orange color. We have a few here and there, about 162 warehouses. By 2000, 970. By 2021, almost 4,300. This is what it looks like down there in a lot of these areas. They are maxed out, and the price per square foot for industrial land between $25 to $200 per square foot. And we are helping our investors buy industrial land for $1 per square foot, roughly, able to get in before this happens. Now, e-retailing, this has taken the industrial market to a whole new level. The Amazon effect. It was on a steady rise prior to COVID. COVID hit, then everybody's buying stuff from Amazon. Amazon makes it way too easy to buy stuff at 2 o'clock in the morning. The #1 car on my road in my neighborhood is Amazon. My neighbor has a constant pileup of boxes. Amazon is it. So the future of warehousing demand is critical, especially here in these port markets. Ever since 2009, the industrial real estate market has been the most consistent asset class, and due largely to the Amazon effect, e-commerce. Just to give you an idea, for every $1 billion in online sales that Amazon makes, it requires 1.25 million of square feet of warehouse distribution facility. People love their shopping. Just during Christmas alone, $220 billion in online sales was made just this past Christmas. That would require 277,500,000 square feet of distribution facility just for Christmas. So back to the property I was showing you in the beginning that I own. I decided not to sell at $7.50 per square foot. Let's look at what's happened. This is a Google Earth view of where my property is. There's my property. You can see there's some distribution centers. There's a bunch of dirt. That was 2014. This is 2023. What happened to the value of my land? Let me tell you, I am very happy I did not sell after 2 years. Just recently, this is another velour investor. They bought 1.23 acres for $158,000. They bought it in 2010. Here's their property. My property's right here, about half a mile away. They sold it November 2023, 1.5 million, $27.99 per square foot. I'm happy I didn't sell. Here's another investor. 0.75, that's not even an acre of land. 0.75 acres for $65,000. There it is, it's a weird little shape. Developers don't care what the shape of land is, by the way. They sold it for $1,025,000, $31.37 per square foot. Duke Realty actually just bought some land about half a mile from my property. It's, I would say it's located right over here. They just bought it for $75 per square foot. Again, I bought mine for $1.15 per square foot. And another velour investor, they just sold their parcel right here. They used to be a residential real estate agent, bought a bunch of residential properties for, the rentals, and then started doing 1031 exchanges. So you can 1031 exchange into land. They bought this parcel, 83 cents per square foot. They just sold it for $27 per square foot. So at $27 per square foot for my property, that's 2.1 million. Yes, please, I'll take that all day long. So industrial land is very limited, and industrial buildings are very limited in Southern California. They are at their lowest vacancy rates in history since roughly 2018. They can't build them fast enough. Another thing that's consuming industrial is Proposition 64, so the legalization of cannabis. Massive grow facilities. Cannabis is a land-hungry industry. You need space to grow it, manufacture it, process it, retail it, whatever the case may be, and not every city allows these types of developments to go in. Again, back to the pro-business city government that we were talking about earlier. LA County is on the map big time for cannabis. They are making a ton of money. Well, they're saying it right here. California industrial real estate is already very low. Scarce warehousing, manufacturing, where are they going to build these? These are massive grow facilities. And Lancaster happens to be a primary targeted area because they are 100% running on green energy. These companies need to be running at least 42% green energy, otherwise they get hit with huge fines. Plus, we're only 60 miles away from downtown LA, which is 10.5 million customers down there. Then we have the aerospace industry, massive contracts, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, Lockheed Martin, NASA, Edwards Air Force Base. Northrop Grumman just won the huge new contract from the US Air Force to build the next new B-21 bomber. That is an $80 billion project, creating 6,600 direct jobs just to build this thing out. How many indirect jobs are being created as a result of that? Industrial space in Southern California is limited, like I've been saying. This is coming from the Southern California Association of Governments. 71.5% of LA County's total potential industrial space is located in the cities of Lancaster and Palmdale, which is in the Antelope Valley, which is where I have been talking about this whole time. The study goes on to say, by the year 2028, we are going to run out of suitably zoned vacant land. By the year 2035, we're going to be at a negative 228 million square foot shortfall. And we're still able to provide affordable land to our investors. In the Antelope Valley specifically, turnkey buildings are running at about $129 per square foot versus in LA, minimum $180 to $350 per square foot. Plus, in the LA area, there's something called the South Coast Air Quality Management District. Basically, you pollute a lot, you gotta pay a big fine. The Antelope Valley is outside of this area, so it is much more affordable for these developers to come into this area. The Antelope Valley is already planning ahead for this. They are putting in the necessary infrastructure for this. They know that these developments are coming. They are getting ready. They're building brand new freeways, upgrading rail, upgrading airports, you name it, it's happening. So infrastructure, I mentioned this earlier. Where the roads go, the people go, the development goes, like we were showing earlier. If you know ahead of time a new on and off ramp is coming, you buy the land while it's affordable before it happens, and that's what happens. 100,000 per acre to millions per acre. And infrastructure is critical when it comes to industrial real estate. You want to have access to air, rail, and road, cargo trucks, cargo ships. So this is coming from Caltrans. Basically, these guys are involved with upgrading the infrastructure. What are we looking at here? This is the major Freeway 14, which goes through the Antelope Valley and into downtown LA, which is basically down over here. All of these are their plans for new on and off ramps, new roads, upgrading roads. They're putting in a brand new freeway from Freeway 5 to Freeway 14. I know you guys might not be familiar with those roads, but the infrastructure is coming. There's also another infrastructure, the high-speed rail, California high-speed rail, the very first two high-speed rails in America, and the only intersection is where we are investing. There's one going up and down California, and then there's a second one going out to Las Vegas, which is supposed to start construction next year, I believe. This one is already under construction. And each of these rails just recently got $3 billion in funding from the federal government. New infrastructure on the airport, $200 million in upgrades there. And here's one of the properties I mentioned earlier that I had available. Look where it is. It's right off of a brand new freeway on and off ramp that is going to be completing construction, I believe next year. There's another on and off ramp there, and there's the airfield there. Plus there's several new distribution centers that are approved for construction, and here is the parcel. Only $98,000 for 2.53 acres. Housing needs. So as all of these distribution centers come in, obviously they're going to be creating population. For each million square feet of distribution facility, it can employ about 1,000 people per million square feet. Right now, there is already over 20 million square feet of distribution facilities approved to come into this area. That would create roughly 20,000 new jobs. Like I mentioned earlier, it increases the population because these jobs, these people will have family members, and then we have indirect jobs like the people working at Starbucks and McDonald's, etc. So there's something called the population multiplier. For each new job created, it increases the population by 2.5 to 5 times. So we're looking minimum 50,000 new people just from these warehouses that they already have planned and approved in this area. And land for housing is also something that we help people invest in. That is more limited though, because that land is just running out very quickly as well. By the way, California needs to build 2.5 million new homes by the year 2030 just to catch up to where they should be. They fell behind in 2008, and we've been behind ever since. You talk to any residential real estate agent out there, and they will tell you there is a lack of supply of homes. And now there's something called the greatest land rush in America happening, and specifically in California. I'm going to talk more on this tomorrow. but it has to do with what we've been talking about, industrial. So there's a brand new Trader Joe's facility that's currently under construction right now. It's a 1 million square foot distribution facility. In their planning documents, electric vehicle charging stalls and truck EV charging stalls are being implemented there. Why do we care about this? This is going to cause a huge increase in electricity demand. California has to go green by the year 2045. 100% of their energy must come from alternative energy sources, or they have to. There's no choice. All of these trucks have to go green. The electrification of transportation is causing the largest land rush in California's history right now. A 500-mile range on a Tesla semi-truck requires the same amount of energy as 700 homes. California is banning the sale of new diesel trucks by the year 2036, and by the year 2045, they all have to be electric. There's already 1 million of these electric vehicles on the road in America by 2021. By the year, what do they say, 2030, it's going to be 4 million. And 1.7 million of these trucks are on the road every single day in California. And the land needed to make it happen is tremendous. So this company right here, they install electric chargers for trucks. They have 21 sites that create 150 megawatts of energy. To create 115 megawatts of energy, that would require 1,150 acres of land. And we happen to be investing in land in the #1 location for that to happen. So right now, the largest shift of wealth is happening globally. And that shift is all to move away from fossil fuels and towards green energy. Like I said, I will be speaking much more on this in more detail tomorrow. We are focusing only on industrial right now, but someone has to own this land. It is tremendous. All right, you guys, I like to work with investors, not speculators. An investor, based on Warren Buffett's definition, says an investor buys an asset based on what it will do over time. Never buy anything you can't hold for 10 years. If you like to be a speculator, there's always crypto. Have fun on it. Land over time, this is what it does. It is simple, it is easy, it is boring, it is peaceful. It can create tremendous amount of wealth. So like I mentioned, I have 2 parcels. One of them is 2.5 acres for 89 cents per square foot. I have another one, 1.25 acres for $1.28 per square foot. If you want to hear more about those, come talk to me out in the booth area. They are kicking me off the stage as we speak. In the end, land is finite. They're not making any more of it. And as the developments come in, the value continues to rise. It is truly that simple. So invest in the asset that every company needs. Average investment range, $25,000 to $2 million. There is no financing for it. Cash, 401ks, IRAs. You can partner with other folks. Certificates of disappointment, get your money out of the bank. You're losing money to inflation. Land has always beat inflation, by the way. Lines of credit, cash value life insurance, corporation, you can buy with a corporation, you can do a 1031 exchange, I mentioned that earlier. If you're interested in investing, come talk to me, we can discuss it further. Happy to answer your questions. It's a very simple 21-day escrow. It's easier than buying a car, let me tell you that. Also, we pay very good referral fees, so if you have groups of investors, I'd be happy to talk to you about that as well, and maybe take you on a trip around the world. All right, you guys, that's my time. Thank you so much for having me today.